Welcome. Today, we're diving into the psychology of ghosting, a modern phenomenon that affects many of our lives. Ghosting is when someone abruptly ends all communication without explanation. It's the digital equivalent of the silent treatment, but with the added complexity of technology. Ghosting has become prevalent across various aspects of our lives, from romantic relationships and friendships to even professional settings. Studies show that both men and women engage in ghosting, though their motivations may differ. The rise of ghosting is closely tied to our digital communication. Without face to face interaction, it's easier to disappear and avoid difficult conversations. Dating apps and social media have normalized quick connections and equally quick disappearances. Throughout this series, we'll explore the psychological factors behind ghosting. We'll examine why men and women ghost each other, the emotional impact on both sides, and how to navigate this challenging aspect of modern communication. Defining ghosting requires us to understand that it's much more than simply disappearing from someone's life. At its core, ghosting is the act of suddenly and without explanation stopping all communication with someone. Ghosting has several key characteristics that distinguish it from other forms of ending relationships. It involves a sudden withdrawal with no explanation provided and complete silence. This creates uncertainty and often occurs without any warning signs. The emotional impact of ghosting extends far beyond the simple absence of communication. The ghostee experiences confusion and uncertainty, feelings of rejection, self-doubt, a sense of being devalued, and often lingering emotional distress. It's important to recognize that ghosting is a form of silent treatment that can have lasting emotional consequences for the person who has been ghosted. When faced with ghosting, there are healthy ways to respond and process the experience. Setting boundaries, creating structured conversations, and seeking support can help process the uncertainty and emotional impact of being ghosted. Women may ghost when feeling emotionally overwhelmed by interactions that become too intense too quickly, are emotionally draining, or require constant attention and emotional labor. Nearly 1 in 3 people who ghost cite their own mental health struggles as a contributing factor. For women especially, emotional overwhelm can make continued interaction feel unsustainable. Safety concerns represent another significant motivation behind ghosting behavior. Women may ghost when they feel threatened or unsafe, anticipate negative reactions to rejection, or detect concerning patterns of behavior. Research indicates that women are more likely to ghost when they believe direct rejection might lead to hostility, harassment, or even violence. In such cases, ghosting serves as a protective mechanism. Past negative experiences significantly influence ghosting behavior. Women who have previously experienced harassment, verbal abuse, or hostile reactions to rejection may view ghosting as a necessary strategy. Studies show that 64% of people who ghost reported that the person did something they disliked. These negative interactions create patterns of avoidance that can persist across relationships. There are legitimate reasons why women may choose to ghost rather than communicate directly. These include situations where boundaries are repeatedly violated, red flags indicate potential abuse, or communication has become toxic. Ultimately, ghosting can represent a form of reclaiming agency and control. It allows women to prioritize their mental health, set boundaries when direct methods have failed, and break cycles of unhealthy communication. While open communication is generally ideal, understanding these motivations provides important context for why ghosting occurs and the complex factors that contribute to this behavior. Ghosting in the context of dating apps has become increasingly common, transforming how people connect and disconnect in modern relationships. Dating apps like Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge have revolutionized the dating landscape with millions of users across the globe. Dating apps have become breeding grounds for ghosting for several key reasons. The abundance of potential matches creates a disposable mindset toward connections. Without shared social circles, there's little accountability for disappearing on someone you met online. The physical and digital distance between parties makes it easier to simply vanish without confrontation. And with the next potential match just a swipe away, many users are quick to abandon existing connections when they become challenging. The phenomenon of paranormal dating activity, ghosting, has become extremely common in online dating. Studies show that ghosting is the preferred form of rejection on dating apps about 1/3 of the time. There are notable gender differences in how ghosting manifests on dating apps. Data shows that men are more likely to have both ghosted someone and been ghosted themselves. Meanwhile, women report higher rates of being ghosted, but are less likely to ghost others. The emotional machinery behind dating app ghosting is complex and often damaging. Being ghosted creates uncertainty and confusion, leading to rumination about what went wrong, and can significantly damage self-esteem and trust in future connections. Could technology itself help solve the ghosting problem it helped create? Some dating and messaging apps are now developing features to encourage more responsible communication patterns and reduce the prevalence of ghosting. To summarize what we've learned about ghosting in the context of dating apps, dating apps create environments where ghosting thrives, with about 1/3 of dating app rejections occurring through ghosting. There are notable gender differences in ghosting behaviors, and the emotional impact can be significant and lasting. Encouragingly, technology solutions are emerging to address this very issue. Reciprocal ghosting occurs when someone who has been ghosted adopts the same behavior as a self-defense mechanism. This creates a contagious effect, spreading ghosting behavior from person to person and normalizing it within social interactions. At the core of reciprocal ghosting is what psychologists call the avoidance cycle. This cycle illustrates how ghosting behavior perpetuates itself. When people experience being ghosted, they often develop defensive mechanisms. This can manifest differently between individuals. Those who have been ghosted may begin to view it as normal behavior. Men might rationalize adopting ghosting as a more efficient way to end interactions. Women may see ghosting as a protective measure after experiencing emotional hurt from being ghosted themselves. Understanding and breaking the cycle of reciprocal ghosting requires recognizing how avoidance patterns perpetuate themselves. To break this cycle, first recognize your own avoidance patterns, then practice direct communication, even when it's uncomfortable. Finally, learn to set boundaries without completely disappearing. Breaking the cycle of reciprocal ghosting ultimately requires a conscious effort to communicate differently, even after experiencing the pain of being ghosted. In response to the rise of ghosting, a new approach to dating is emerging. Intentional dating is a mindful approach to relationships where individuals clearly communicate their intentions, needs, and boundaries from the beginning. Let's examine how intentional dating contrasts with ghosting. While ghosting involves sudden disappearance and avoiding difficult conversations, intentional dating emphasizes clear communication and honesty. Intentional dating is built on several key principles. These include being clear about your relationship goals, communicating openly, respecting emotional boundaries, being authentic, and progressing at a mindful pace. Intentional dating offers several benefits. It reduces emotional harm, creates more meaningful connections, saves time and emotional energy, develops emotional intelligence, and contributes to a healthier dating culture overall. To practice intentional dating, communicate your expectations early. Listen actively without judgment. Be honest about your relationship readiness. Provide closure when moving on, and cultivate empathy and understanding. The trend toward intentional dating is growing. Studies show that 64% of singles want more honest communication, 58% prioritize emotional connection over physical attraction, and 71% are tired of superficial interactions. Dating apps are even adding intention features to support this trend. Intentional dating represents a significant shift away from disposable dating culture. By fostering open communication and honesty, it offers a meaningful alternative to ghosting and promotes deeper, more authentic connections between people. Emotional intelligence is becoming increasingly valued in modern relationships. Emotional intelligence, or EI, is the ability to understand and manage emotions effectively, both in ourselves and in our relationships with others. Research has shown that individuals with high emotional intelligence are less likely to engage in ghosting behavior. Emotional intelligence consists of 5 key components: self awareness, self regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. These components work together to support superior performance and decision making in relationships. People with high emotional intelligence can communicate more effectively in relationships. Men with high EI are better able to express their needs and concerns directly, rather than disappearing when problems arise. Women with high EI can more effectively recognize emotional cues and respond appropriately to changing relationship dynamics. Active listening is a crucial component of emotional intelligence that helps build relationships. By truly listening and seeking to understand others before responding, we create mutual trust that makes ghosting less likely. Emotionally intelligent individuals approach conflicts constructively rather than avoiding them. Instead of ghosting, which is an avoidance strategy, people with high emotional intelligence tend to collaborate and find solutions to relationship problems. Empathy is the cornerstone of emotional intelligence. Unlike sympathy, which is feeling for someone, empathy is feeling with them. Truly empathetic individuals can better understand how their actions might affect others, making them less likely to ghost someone without explanation. When we examine conflict resolution strategies, we can see that ghosting falls squarely into the avoidance category. Emotional intelligence gives us the tools to choose more constructive approaches like collaborating or even compromising, rather than simply avoiding difficult conversations. In summary, emotional intelligence provides us with several skills that reduce the likelihood of ghosting. These include better self awareness, improved emotional regulation, enhanced empathy, greater comfort with difficult conversations, and stronger communication skills. By developing these emotional intelligence skills, we can create healthier relationships where ghosting becomes less common and open communication flourishes. Companies are now recognizing that a positive candidate experience is critical to reducing ghosting in the recruitment process. To address ghosting effectively, employers need to understand the complete candidate journey, from awareness to hire. The statistics are clear. Nearly half of candidates admit to ghosting employers, while over half of candidates report being ghosted themselves. This reciprocal ghosting creates a negative cycle that hurts everyone involved. Companies can adopt several key strategies to improve the candidate experience. These include maintaining transparent communication throughout the process, providing timely feedback, respecting candidates' time, setting clear expectations, and personalizing the experience. Providing constructive feedback is particularly critical. When candidates receive clear, actionable feedback, they feel valued and respected, even if they don't get the job. This guide shows the essential steps for delivering effective interview feedback. A truly candidate-centric approach means treating applicants as valued stakeholders, creating memorable touchpoints throughout their journey, building long-term relationships, and regularly gathering and implementing candidate feedback to improve the process. Focusing on candidate experience isn't just ethical, it's good business. Companies that prioritize candidates see improved employer brand reputation, higher conversion rates, reduced recruitment costs, and more engaged new hires. Remember, when companies treat candidates with respect and transparency, both parties are less likely to ghost each other. Creating a positive candidate experience is the key to building a professional and respectful recruitment process. Being ghosted can be a painful experience that leaves you questioning your self-worth. However, it's crucial to remember that being ghosted is not a reflection of who you are. Ghosting often says more about the other person's inability to communicate effectively than it does about you. Everyone deserves proper closure in relationships, and that responsibility lies with both parties. When coping with being ghosted, prioritizing self-care is essential. Processing your emotions through journaling can help provide clarity and release. Maintaining physical wellness through exercise, proper nutrition, and adequate sleep helps support your emotional health. Mindfulness practices and engaging in activities you enjoy can also restore your sense of well-being. Social support is crucial when dealing with the emotional impact of being ghosted. Reach out to trusted friends and family who can provide perspective and comfort. Allow others to validate your feelings and experience. Positive social connections can help rebuild your confidence and remind you of your value outside of this one experience. Healing from being ghosted takes time, and it's important to be patient with yourself. The process isn't linear. Some days will be easier than others. Practice self-compassion throughout the healing journey. Remember that difficult experiences often lead to personal growth and resilience, even though they're painful in the moment. If you're struggling to move forward after being ghosted, professional support can be beneficial. Therapy provides a safe space to process complex emotions with specialized guidance. Therapy can help you develop healthy coping mechanisms for dealing with rejection and address any underlying attachment patterns that might affect your relationships. Group therapy can also help reduce feelings of isolation by connecting with others who have similar experiences. As you move forward after being ghosted, remember these key insights. Your worth is never defined by someone else's behavior. The right people will communicate with you respectfully, even during difficult conversations. Each relationship experience, even painful ones, teaches valuable lessons. Healing happens gradually through intentional self-care practices. And most importantly, you deserve authentic connections that honor your dignity. To prevent ghosting, you need to prioritize open and honest communication in your relationships. This means creating regular opportunities for dialogue. These 4 communication techniques are essential for preventing ghosting: paraphrasing, summarizing, clarifying, and reflecting. By actively using these techniques, you validate the other person's perspective. Let's explore 4 practical strategies to prevent ghosting in your relationships. First, be completely upfront about your feelings and intentions. Honesty from the beginning sets the right tone. Second, create safe spaces where vulnerable conversations can happen without judgment or criticism. Third, set clear expectations about communication patterns, including how often you'll check in or respond. Fourth, address issues promptly rather than avoiding them, which prevents the buildup of resentment. Developing these communication skills is crucial for preventing ghosting. Skills like assertive behavior, conflict resolution, and intercultural communication help you navigate difficult conversations effectively. Being aware of cultural differences in communication is also important. The same gestures and communication styles can have different meanings across cultures, which might lead to misunderstandings that result in ghosting. Even relationships damaged by previous ghosting can be repaired through consistent, open communication. The process of rebuilding trust takes time, but with mutual effort, stronger connections can emerge. To prevent ghosting in your relationships, remember these key points. Prioritize transparency in all relationships. Create regular check-ins for honest discussion. Value the courage it takes to be vulnerable, and remember that ghosting prevention requires effort from all parties involved.